The match resumed with this game on the main hall stage per Spassky's request, but without TV cameras per Fischer's request. Fischer as white played the Sozin Attack against Spassky's Sicilian defense. Spassky sacrificed a pawn, and after move 17 bishop takes c5 had a slight advantage. Spassky developed a strong kingside attack, but failed to convert it into a win, the game ending in a draw. Let's see the game in more detail. Fischer opens with e4, the most popular and highly regarded opening move, to control the center and prepare for rapid development. Spassky responds with c5, the Sicilian defense, a sharp and combative reply aiming to challenge white's center and create imbalances from an early stage. Fischer continues with knight f3, developing his knight to a central square, supporting the e4 pawn. Spassky replies with d6, the standard Sicilian pawn structure. d4 strikes at the center, initiating pawn exchanges and seeking to open up the position. Spassky captures the pawn on d4, creating asymmetry in the center. Recaptures the pawn with knight in d4. Spassky responds with knight f6, developing to a natural square and preparing to castle. Knight c3, maintaining central control. Spassky plays knight c6, developing his knight to challenge white's central knight and supporting his d6 pawn. Fischer opts for bishop c4, deploying his bishop to a central diagonal, putting pressure on the f7 square. Spassky plays e6, preparing to develop his dark squared bishop. Fischer retreats his bishop to b3, maintaining flexibility. Bishop e7, completing kingside development and preparing to castle. Fischer develops his bishop to e3. Spassky castles, completing his kingside development and preparing to shift his focus to the center and queenside. Fischer castles. a6 by Spassky, gaining space on the queenside and preparing to expand with b5. Fischer advances with f4, initiating to open lines against black's king. Knight takes d4, exchanging knights and alleviating some pressure in the center. Fischer takes the knight. b5, advancing his queenside pawns. a3, creating a retreat square for his bishop on b3. Spassky continues with bishop b7, developing his bishop to an active diagonal and to contest the e4 pawn. Queen d3, centralizing the queen and to support the e4 pawn. a5, initiating a pawn break on the queenside. Fischer advances with e5, breaking open the center and creating tactical complications. Spassky captures the pawn on e5, leaving the b5 pawn unprotected and aiming to counterattack later. Fischer recaptures e5. Knight retreats to d7. Fischer wins the pawn on b5. Spassky plays knight c5, attacking white's queen and light bishop. Fischer captures the knight with dark square bishop. Recaptures the bishop, winning an active position and delivering check. Fischer plays king h1, moving his king to a safer square. Queen g5, threat checkmate. Fischer plays queen e2, defending the checkmate. Rook d8, activating the rook. Rook d1, challenging rook on the d-file. Spassky captures on d1. Rook takes on d1, keeping control of the d-file. Spassky plays h5, advancing his h-pawn to launch a kingside attack. Fischer maneuvers his knight to d6 aiming light square bishop. Spassky retreats his bishop and keeping eye on long diagonal. Bishop c4, positioning his bishop on a more active diagonal. h4, further advancing his pawn towards the king. Fischer plays h3, creating a pawn shelter for his king, preventing any immediate threats. Bishop e3, blocking queen eyes on e-pawn. Fischer plays queen g4, offering a pawn trade. Queen takes e5, capturing the offered pawn. Queen takes h4. Spassky plays g5, advancing his g-pawn attacking the queen and rising pressure on kingside. Queen moved to g4. Spassky plays bishop c5, targeting the knight. Fischer moves the knight to b5, maneuvering to bring them back into the game on the kingside. King g7 by Spassky paves the way for his rook. Knight d4, maintaining his knight's position on the board. Rook h8, intensifying pressure against white's king. Fischer plays knight f3, forking queen and pawn. Spassky captures the knight with bishop, so as not to lose g5 pawn. Queen recaptures the bishop on f3. Bishop d6, threatening a checkmate on h2. Fischer plays queen c3, pining black queen forces exchanging queens to simplify the position and reduce black's attacking chances. Spassky captures queen, preparing to transition into an endgame. Recaptures the queen. Spassky plays bishop e5, targeting c3 pawn. Fischer plays rook d7, activating his rook on 7th rank and preparing to target black's weak pawns. Spassky plays king f6, activating his king and unpin the pawn. King g1, preparing to bring it into the game. Spassky captures c3 pawn. Fischer plays bishop e2. Spassky plays bishop e5. King f1, rook c8. Bishop h5 targeting f-pawn, rook c7 offering rook exchange. Rook takes c7, bishop recaptures the rook. At this point game is completely equal, with the same number of pawns and opposite bishops. Game will be a draw. Let's see the last moves of this game. a4, king e7. King e2, f5. King d3, bishop e5. c4, king d6. Bishop f7, bishop g3. Fischer plays c5. Both sides seemed content with their positions and decided to end the game in a draw rather than risk further play. Overall, it was a well-contested game where both players showed good defensive skills and tactical awareness. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are a fan of chess, please like and subscribe.